Welcome back. As a part of this lecture, we'll try to understand overview of structured API. Before we really get into that, let us try to recollect the components of the Spark. I guess you already know about the components of the Spark, right? Not to worry. Let us try to revisit this quickly. In the bottom, we have low-level APIs. In the center, we have structured APIs. On top of that, we have streaming, advanced analytics, libraries, and ecosystem. In the low-level APIs, we have RDDs and also distributed variables. The structured APIs, we have Dataframes, Datasets, and SQL. This is a diagram representing the components of the Spark. If you have already not drawn this by your hand, please do so. Now, having revised the components, we are going to talk more about the structured APIs as a part of this lecture. We already in a way knew what are the data frames, what are the data sets to some extent as a part of the structured APIs. Let us try to drill down a bit more and understand them in an elaborate manner. If we really see, data frames and data sets are table-like collections. When you say table-like collections, they would have rows and also columns, right? Rows and columns. So, but if I say they are table-like collections, are they similar to the table what you see in Excel sheet? They are similar but not the same. The reason being the data frames and data sets will be distributed across the different executors in a cluster. Having understood that, one important thing here is what are the columns what we see in each of the data frames should have a same number of rows as compared to the other column. Means if you have a table which has, let us say, 4 columns, so each of the column should have a same number of rows. That is what it means. And also one important thing is the type information also should be consistent. For example, this is a column where we have a type as int. All the rows should have the same type. Having understood what are the data frames, we have already seen a transformations and also other aspects of the data frames in the earlier lectures. Let's try to revisit that. We already know data frames are immutable. What is immutability? Once we create a data frame or data set, will not be able to change them. And one more aspect what we have already learned is they are lazily evaluated. Consider you are using data frames for holding the data and also subjecting it to the multiple processes, multiple operations until the last moment Spark waits for computations. That is called as a lazy evaluation. These subject to the lazy evaluation. And we know data frames cannot be changed. They are immutable. But if you want to modify them, we have to instruct Spark to do so. That is where the transformations are coming into picture. Transformations are nothing but instructions to change or modify the data frame. So let us move on and understand what is the difference between data frame and data sets. First and foremost thing being data frame is type unsafe. Data sets are type safe. What does it mean? What do you mean by type safe? What do you mean by type unsafe? Let us try to understand that by taking an example. We already know data sets and data frames are table-like collections. Assuming this is a data frame. Assuming this is a data sets. If you look at, we have 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. In each of them, 1, 2, 3. If you look at the data type of this particular column is string, same here also, and we do have int. Assume the same data types are there here also, string, and int. Let us say we will subject this data frame and also the data set for a transformation. What are transformation again? Transformations are set of instructions for modifying the data frames or structured APIs. So now after going through the transformation, the data types of all these columns may remain same or different in case of data frame. But on the other hand, even though after going through a transformation, the data types of resultant data set would be the same. That means this column would remain string, this column would remain string, this column would remain int. But in the case of data frame, int may become float or double. This is called as type unsafe and this is called as type safe. I hope you guys got it now. Let us move on and try to understand what are the other differences of data frames and data sets. What happens in the data frames is Spark maintains all the information about the data types of data frames, and also it checks whether the data types are proper or not during the runtime. On the other hand, Spark checks whether the data types conform to the specification at the compilation time only. That is because it has to ensure that the types are same, right? That is the reason in the data sets the data types are confirmed during the compilation time, but on the other hand for the data frames it is done during the runtime. The next important aspect is data frames are available for all the language APIs like Python, Scala, Java or SQL. On the other hand, we have datasets available only for JVM based languages, that is Java Virtual Machine based languages, which are Scala and Java. Thank you.